Hi guys, welcome to another video tutorial. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make this men's beanie. This is an alternating post beanie and it's a really easy project to work on. It's also really quick work. So you can get this beanie done easily in a day and that way you can have it ready to go for the holidays. So let's just go over some of the materials I'll be using and let's get started. So this beanie is going to be for an adult male and I want it to be really stretchy, so I'm going to use Woolike yarn by Loops and Threads, and I'm going to use 2 skeins, and this is a size 1 yarn. I'm going to be using a G hook or a 4.25 millimeter hook, and you can find any of this at your local craft store. So to start, I'm going to use both of my skeins simultaneously, so I'm just going to start with a slip knot. So I'll just pull my yarn through my knot here and get that all tightened up. And you're going to start with the chain in multiples of 2. So just make sure that it ends in an even number. So to make a chain, just wrap your yarn around your hook once and then pull it through that loop you've got. Make sure you tighten this little thread that's hanging right here, so that way when you pull it, it helps you pull your loop through. So wrap around and pull through, wrap around and pull through. And I'm just going to make a nice and long chain. And for an adult size beanie, I'm going to want to make my chain about 22 inches. So I've got my chain is all done and I'll get this all measured out. I will have measurements in the comment section below so that way you can see what the different sizes you can make. And it'll tell you how big a chain, well not how big a chain, but how many inches you need in order to make a different size beanie. So I've got the chain the way I want. If you want to work this pattern in the round, just be sure to join your 2 ends together. So this is for anyone who's a little more advanced and wants to do it that way. Otherwise, we're just going to start by chaining 2 more stitches. So I'll chain 1 and 2. And we're going to go back 2 stitches, so the one that I've pinched over here, and we're going to make a double crochet. So let me just get my stitch in here, and then we can go over how to make a double crochet in case you're not familiar with it. But for those who do know how to make a double crochet, just be sure to make a double crochet in every stitch of this chain. So I'll finish this one. Okay, so for a double crochet, you wrap the yarn around your hook and you find your stitch. You insert your hook into the stitch, yarn around your hook, and you're going to pull it through the stitch. So now you have 3 loops around your hook, and you're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops. And that's how you make a double crochet. So make 1 double crochet in every stitch of this chain. So now that I've gotten to the end of my row and every single one of my stitches has a double crochet, I'm going to move on to the next row. So here, I'm going to chain 2. So let me get everything moved here. So I got 1 and 2, and we're going to turn our work around. So this is where we're going to start working our alternating posts. So do you see this little post right here? So that is what we're going to be working in. These are the stitches up here. We're going to skip those. We're going to be working specifically on the posts. So this is our very first post. Don't worry about that first chain, that doesn't count. So in this first one, we're going to make a front post double crochet. So yarn over, and then we're going to slip in behind the post and push the post forward like this. Then you just yarn over, pull your thread or your yarn through your stitch. You've got your 3 loops and you're just going to close it like a double crochet. So yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. And that is a front post double crochet. In the next post right here, we're going to make a back post double crochet. So we're going to insert our hook towards the front and then push our post backward. So see, our post is now behind our work. Then we just yarn over, pull through the stitch, and we're going to yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. In our third stitch, we're going to make a front post double crochet. So there's our post. So we yarn over, front post, and then we just yarn over and pull through the stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. The next one is a back post double crochet. So just come in from in front of the post, push it back, yarn over, pull that through the stitch, and then we just yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So we're going to keep alternating between front post and back post double crochets this entire row. At the end of each of your rows, see, this is my last little post I've got to show you here. In order to keep your beanie the same size, I'll just finish my last post. So this is a front post double crochet. All right, now between this last post I just crocheted and the very end, you see this chain? So that was our chain 2 that we worked on originally. We're just going to make a double crochet in that. And you're going to do this at the end of every single row. So this is the only time I'm going to show you this. So just remember to do this at the end of every row. And that is our second row. For our next row, let me just grab my yarn again. We chain 2, turn our work around, and now we're going to start the alternating part here. So you see this is a front post and another front post, and we've got back post crochets right over here. We're going to flip them around. So now everything that was a back post will become a front post. So now this is a back post double crochet, so now we have to pull it forward, and we're going to make it a front post double crochet. And now this front post, we turn it into a back post double crochet. And what this is going to do is it's going to create a woven look. So it's going to make it a really nice and warm beanie. So the next one becomes a front post. The next one becomes a back post. And so forth and so on. So for every front post double crochet, you're going to turn it into a back post double crochet. And every back post is going to become a front post. So I'll just keep working this row, and this is pretty much the same thing you're going to do for the rest of the beanie. So I'm going to keep crocheting several rows of this, because from here on out it's the same. So you get to the end of the row, don't forget your last double crochet, and then you chain 2, turn your work around, and do the exact same. So the next row is going to be exactly the same as this one. You're going to reverse all of your posts. So your front post become back post, and your back post become front posts. So I'm going to keep working on this several more rows. I want a total of about 7 to 7.5 inches of this stitching. And that will be enough so that I have about a 2-inch brim at the end of it. So I'll keep working on this, and I'll see you when I'm done. So here's what I've got so far, and I've made several rows of the alternating posts, and I have a total of 7, just a little over 7 inches. And that's perfect because I want a 2-inch brim. So I want to make my brim, not on this side, which is where we started. See, this is their first initial chain. It is not as stretchy. I mean, it's stretchy, but this top part is even stretchier. So this is what I want to be the bottom part of my beanie where the brim is. So to make my brim, I'm just going to keep I didn't remove my hook or anything. I'm just going to keep working. So see this front post double crochet? See if I can show you a little better. So here's our front post. And then we've got back posts, front posts. So we're just going to extend the posts that are already there. So if your first stitch is a front post double crochet, then make a front post double crochet. Mine happens to be a back post. So I'm going to make another back post double crochet. See, my next stitch is a front post, so I'll make a front post double crochet. So where we were making for the whole body of the beanie that we were alternating, this time we're just extending the same stitch. So you make a back post for every back post and a front post for every front post double crochet. So I will keep working this row, and I will show you. It's a little bit cleaner to see here on the next row. So I'll keep working on this, and I'll show you what it looks like. So here I'm at the end to show you one last time that we do have to make that double crochet at the very end of the stitch, or at the very end of the row, sorry. That way we have the same size beanie. So as you can see, it's a little bit cleaner to see for this next row. And we're going to be doing the exact same thing we just did on this previous row. So we're going to be extending our posts. So this first one here is a front post double crochet. So I'm going to make another front post double crochet. And then the next stitch is a back post double crochet. So I will make a back post double crochet. And what this is going to do is it's going to create that ribbed look. So if you're alternating, it just kind of looks woven, whereas if you continue making the same stitching, so a front post crochet in every front post double crochet, then what you're going to do is just create a very nice, clean, ribbed look. So just make several more rows of these. I want a total of about 2 inches for my brim, so I'll work a couple more rows. It's going to be maybe about 5 rows before I have the size that I want, but I'll show you what it looks like once we've got our brim done. So here we are. I've got my brim made, and I want my beanie to be about 9 inches, and we've got it. Great. So this is how tall I want my beanie to be. So now we just have to sew together a beanie. So you can do it 2 ways. You can either crochet it together, or you can just sew it together. Now if you're going to crochet it, you just make a single crochet every couple stitches. So here at the very corner, we want to line up our sides. So I'll just make my very first single crochet, excuse me, and just make sure your edges are aligned, and make a single crochet about as close together as you can without the stitches being right on top of the other. This one is not as easy to see as when you work with like a chain, because you've got these posts are kind of big stitches, so it's like a really big single crochet. So just keep making a single crochet in about as close an interval as you can until you get to the end of the row. You can also sew it, so if you prefer to sew it together, then you can use a yarn needle or a tapestry needle, which is what I find works best, and you can sew it with this same yarn. So here's how it looks, and this is going to leave enough space for us to add our label. So I've reached the end, and I've sewed my sides completely together, so I've gone all the way across, and now I need to cut my yarn, because we need to sew the top part of the beanie. So what I do is I cut one thread somewhat short. I need to be able to weave it in, and the other one I'm going to use to sew up the top part of my beanie, so I leave this a little bit longer. If you're going to be crocheting or sewing on a poof to this, like a fur poof or any kind of pom-pom, make sure you leave a little more thread so you can sew it onto it. So I'm going to leave this short one here on the side, and in the long for the long thread, I'm just going to get that threaded into a tapestry needle. There we go. And this is what I'm going to use to sew the top part of my beanie together. So I'm just going to insert my needle in and out a few times, just along the edge. Leave a tiny bit of space. I mean, you can go close to the edge. Just know that you're going to have to be a lot more attentive to how you're sewing together the top part, just so that your beanie doesn't open at the top. But if you're really confident with sewing, go ahead and just sew it at the very top. Otherwise, just use your posts as guides, and you could just kind of glide your needle through the top couple posts. So I'm using all my front post double crochets to just kind of thread my needle through there. And you can tighten it as you go. So even if you didn't cut a whole lot of thread, just tighten it as you go, and that way you won't have a big old piece of leftover thread that you're not going to be using. So I'm just going to fast forward through all of this super exciting sewing, because I know everybody likes to watch people sew. So I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward through it. Yeah, but that way I still have the video in case anybody wants to kind of see what it is I'm doing if you've never made a beanie before. So now I've reached the end, and I'm just going to tighten my thread pull on my thread as tightly as I can, because I want to close up the top of my beanie. And now I'm just going to start sewing across. So I'll get all the way across the beanie, or the top part of the beanie, and then I'll insert my needle right by it and go all the way across again. And I'll just kind of make like a star shape, just to make sure that I get all of the edges of the beanie, just everything is going to be nice and tight. And then we're just going to have to double knot it. So I'll stitch this across a couple times, and then we will just, let me see if I can get a knot started over here. There you go, and just make another little knot. And then with the rest of the end of the thread, you can just weave it in. So I just kind of sew in a bit of a square pattern, and that way it'll keep my this end totally tucked in. So I'll go through and get that done. There you go, and then this last bit, I'll try to hide it as best as I can. There you go. And then I'll just pull on that, and I'll cut it here in a minute. And then I've got these other ends that I have to weave in. So this is the other thread that we cut at the top. So this one, I'm going to just sew here in a bit of a square pattern. And that way it'll keep my thread from coming out and unraveling my hat. So I'll go a few times around, and I'll do this for all of the other thread ends that I have in the beanie, especially if you're switching colors, you really want to weave in your ends. So I just did the one color today, but if you make this in multiple colors, it looks really nice. Just make sure you weave in all your ends. And now we just have to flip our beanie inside out. If you want to attach a poof, go for it. If not, you are done. If you have any questions or any comments, please leave them down below. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Give the video a like if this is the type of video that you like to see. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm at mode.bespoke. And if you want to follow any of these patterns or learn to crochet any of them with a written pattern, you can visit my blog, and I'm modebespoke.blogspot.com. Thank you.